National Institute of Health's newly released documents show that Fauci's agency funded China's gain-of-function virus research.
George Soros criticized BlackRock for endangering Americans' money by having them invest in China, and BlackRock responded.
House Republicans started investigating what's behind the Afghanistan withdrawal debacle.
Volunteer group released the result for canvassing the ballots of 2020 election in Maricopa County of Arizona, showing as high as 20% of ballots have problems.
And the feature story today is how CCP attacked American businesses in the name of the law. U.S.-China Economic and Security Review Committee hearing revealed the fact. Welcome to Wei and Kathy Show. I'm your host, Wei Fang.
I'm Kathy Zhang.
Okay, great to have you with us tonight. And first, let's jump to the feature story. There's two of them. Actually, the main one we just mentioned about, it's called USCC, right? It's Congressional and Administration Joint Committee. Mm-hmm. And they review something that about how CCP attacked the American business there. The detail that we didn't, people don't quite know before. But before that feature story, we're going to talk about the Maricopa County's most recent canvassing report. Quite a story, okay? But we'll be talking about that on Safe Chat. All right, so stay with us. Now, first, let's look at the National Institute's, the most recent exchange between Senator Rand Paul and the National Institute's health director, Fauci's, on the issue of a gain-of-function debate. As you may or may have not known, Fauci has been saying that in the Congress that his agency has not funded any gain-of-function research, but Senator Rand Paul has been said otherwise.
Yeah, and Senator Rand Paul criticized Dr. Fauci harshly about his lying about the NIH's funding of Wuhan Institute of Virology on the virus research. So because there is a group called the Intercept, released a 900-page document that it obtained from the NIH through a court order and released it.
Yeah, let's first a few words about this company called Intercept. What is it? Actually, it's fairly new. Okay, it was born in 2014. Okay, funded by the eBay founder. How do I say his name? Pierre Omidyar. Okay, and he's a big rich guy, very successful, also a philanthropist. And then he provided initial funding, and later the Intercept started to fund itself through a community of its members. What does it do? Okay, it is an award-winning news organization dedicated to hold the powerful accountable through fearless and adversarial journalism, basically investigative journalism. So through a court filing, so it was able to obtain, basically forcefully through the law, and 900-page document from National Institute of Health. Okay, the law is called the Freedom of Information Act. So basically, the judge saying yes, you have to release that. And then this document is the first time just show very clearly that NIH gave a grant of $3.1 million to an organization called the Echo Health Alliance. And the Echo Health Alliance, in turn, gave $600,000, to be precise, $599,000 to Wuhan Institute of Virology in China. All right, but the president of Echo Health has been denying that the virus was a lab leak, has nothing to do with that funding. All right, so then executive director of a U.S. Right to Know, which is a group that has been investigating the origin of the COVID-19. Okay, his name is Gary Ruskin. He said this, okay, about this report. He said this is a roadmap to the high-risk research that could have led to the current pandemic. And then after receiving those documents from NIH, so Intercept sent a document to a group of biologists nationwide. And then one of them, Richard Albright, and he's a molecular biologist at Rogers University. he replied that Wuhan Institute of Virology first engineered the mice, okay, to display human-type receptors on their cell, and then they test the virus on them. Okay, and then he said the document made it clear that the assertion by the NIH director, Francis Collins, and the NIAID director, this is the Anthony Fauci, okay, that the NIH did not support gain-of-function research or potential pandemic pathogen enhancement at the WIV are untruthful.
Yeah, then another molecular biologist called Alina Chen, she's with the Broad Institute. She replied that in this proposal, they actually point out that they know how risky this work is. They keep talking about people potentially getting bitten, and they kept records of people who got bitten. And so she asked, does EcoHealth have those records? If not, how can they possibly rule out a research-related accident?
Okay, yeah, that's a fair question. And then ask about the grant material. Okay, this is very interesting. I really want you guys to know this, all right? Needless to say, the reporter, the interceptor, would ask the EcoHealth Alliance and NIH, what do you think? Why did you issue those funds? Let me tell you this, the communication manager of the EcoHealth Alliance, Robert Kessler, he said this. He said, hear me out, we applied for grants to conduct research. The relevant agencies deemed that to be important research, and thus funded. So I don't know that there's a whole lot to say. Basically, people asking, why do you give those money to the Wuhan Institute of Virology? He said, because we applied for the grant and the NIH granted. So they think it's important. So that's why we give them money.
Right.
And then you can imagine if one day you got to ask NIH, they must say, oh, the EcoHealth applied for this, and we think it must be important, so we approve it. So both sides use the other side as the excuse that they did for what they did. It's just quite very evasive. Okay, so when I come to this, I would say enough said about it. That they don't want to answer a question. They just try to evade the question. So that's that. And then now, so what happened is this. Okay, so Senator Tom Cotton was really, really harsh on this. So on top of, besides Senator Rand Paul, and Tom Cotton said not only Dr. Fauci should be removed immediately, and he should be punished and prosecuted to the max extent. That's what he said. So we'll see. We'll see what the current administration would be doing to Dr. Fauci and following this, court-ordered release of the document.
Right. Okay, let's talk about the next piece of news. The progressive billionaire investor George Soros recently lambasted BlackRock for endangering clients' money and the United States security by pouring billions of dollars investment into China. So then, because the BlackRock, the investment company, recommended that investors triple their allocations in Chinese assets after becoming the first foreign-owned company to launch a set of mutual funds and other investment products for Chinese consumers. So keep in mind, BlackRock is the world's largest money manager with $9.5 trillion under management. So what did Soros talk about that?
Yeah, Soros said the BlackRock initiative imperils the national security interest of the U.S. and other democracies because the money invested in China will be prop up President Xi Jinping's regime, which is repressive at home and aggressive abroad. He went on, he said that the Congress shall pass legislation empowering the Security and Exchange Commission, the SEC, to limit the flow of funds to China. That our effort ought to be enjoy bipartisan support. All right, and what does the BlackRock responded? How do they respond?
So a spokesperson from BlackRock responded that the United States and China have a large and complex economic relationship. total trade in goods and services between the two countries exceeded $600 billion in 2020. And he said that through our investment activity, US-based asset managers and other financial institutions contribute to the economy, to the economic interconnectedness of the world's two largest economies.
Yeah, in Chinese we have a saying like 商人无祖国, businessman has no motherland. They just go after money. And apparently that's what BlackRock has been doing. Okay, Soros, how does he respond to that? He believe U.S.-China relationship on rocky, shaky ground with the world's largest economy engaged in a life and a death conflict between two systems of governance, repressive and democratic. Okay, and he said that BlackRock's reinvestment in the country will help prop up President Xi's regime. So what do you think? It's quite a thing, right? Actually, in the Chinese community, there's a lot of analysis or commentary on why George Soros was so harsh with Xi Jinping.
Yeah, because
what do you think?
Yeah, in 2010, he praised the Chinese Communist government is better than the United States, right?
Yeah.
He said that it's the best government. So why is he blasting, the Xi Jinping regime right now? So what do you think? We'd like to hear from your opinion.
Yeah. So if you because Soros has been quite liberal in terms of his policy. He has his open
society.
Open society, has been doing all kinds of shady things, and I have two things to share. Okay, first is indeed Soros. He doesn't really like the regimes like internet firewall, things like that, because he's open society, right? He wants to break down those things. In that sense, I think it's a good thing. And the second thing, if I have to guess, I think he must have invested a lot of money and probably lost it on China.
Yeah, because recently the Chinese government took a lot of action cracking down the businesses, right?
Yeah.
And actually, our feature story relates to that.
Yeah. And we talk about that a lot of changes in America at this time actually have its root in the American versions of communism. As we talked to you, before, from the Fabian Society in England to Frankfurt in Germany, and then to the Columbia University, and then to all across China. All across the U.S. Now you got this progressive liberals, you got this democratic, socialist. They're essentially just communist, okay, according to Levin, okay, and so why don't they just join hand with the communists in China? Okay, my opinion is they don't, because communist is supposed to be they are dictatorial, right? They're dictatorial. They don't share power. They are tyrant by definition, so they don't share power. So even though they have the same root, they fight each other. That's basically how I read it. I don't know how you think. Put your comment there, and I want to read from you. Okay, let's move on to the next.
Yeah, let's see some of the comments are.
Yeah, what do you think? This is a very interesting question, right?
Yeah.
Because
one of our audience said, I think he knows what he's doing. And
what is that? And what is that then?
What is that?
What do you think?
So Tintin said, I don't believe a word Soros is saying. A snake biting itself. Make no sense.
I think he has two heads, so he bite here and bite there.
Yeah, and Louis said Soros usually stays in the background. The fact that he's coming out of the shadow shows that the patriots are in charge and have the upper hand. That's interesting.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, so, it is indeed very bizarre, lack of a better word, for Soros. And he not only wrote just one article to criticize.
He wrote three, I think, right? In a row, in less than 2 weeks. He wrote 3 articles, so he really feels strong about that. So that's kind of interesting. But my reading is, first, indeed, he doesn't like that type of totalitarian regime. Even, you have to question that, what is his future regime? Yes, but he doesn't like that communist in China, that version in China. So he doesn't like them. And so he bite in two places.
Yeah, well, I think for Soros probably he felt that maybe he felt that it's a little bit out of his control and his money, his investment in China got hurt, and then he just want to control everything, right? So that's my guess.
Okay, I think basically his word is not bad as far as Communist Party is concerned, because no, what I mean is hurting the CCP. I think BlackRock indeed should not invest there. They should not. But they got picked by the CCP. They said you are the most favored company. You are the first 1.4 billion people market coming in here. The usual rhetoric. They just they got lured into China, and they will savor the bitter result down the road.
Yeah, but what would be the consequence for BlackRock, including the investors they are handling the money for?
Yeah.
Actually, our next feature story probably will give you some answer.
Mm-hmm. Okay, just stay with us. Next, let's move on into the another piece of news, which is Kentucky Representative James Comer. Okay, yesterday he said the congressional Republicans are launching a full-scale inquiry into every possible angle in connection with the Biden administration's actions in Afghanistan, as there are still far too many questions that aren't yet being answered about what happened there. Okay, he said we're trying to find out answers that Joe Biden should have already told us by now. So we are questioning every potential person. And who are they? People who have knowledge, whether they are in the intelligence community, whether they are active troops, whether they are just people who just arrived. Okay, we're trying to talk to all of them. Since the GOP doesn't hold the House majority, actually they do not have the subpoena power. So they are basically doing their footwork. And the representative Comer said just the fact that nobody's being held responsible after the deadly attack at the Kabul airport points to the need for a thorough investigation. That's his word. Yeah. Okay. Let's move on to what happened there in Arizona. Actually, it's a very interesting story. A realtor, a common citizen, and her name is Liz Harris. Believe it or not, she, along with hundreds of volunteers,
I think we're going to talk about it on Safe Chat, right?
Yeah, visited 12,000 homes in the last few months and bring her result. And we'll be talking about that in our feature story, which is on the Safe Chat. All right, that'll all be for now on the YouTube. Thank you for being with us. We're moving over there, so please follow us there. Two important stories, the Arizona story, as well as the USCC story. Okay, make sure you stay with us. Okay, let's go. 1, 2, 3.